This is one in a series of video career guides. Each video spotlights occupations which are in high demand in Alaska, and many don't require a college degree. In this video career guide, we'll look at work in the emerging field of renewable energy. What's the potential for a career in renewable energy?
The demand for energy on this planet is expected to quadruple in the next 100 years. And so energy is a big and growing market, and yet we've got finite reserves of fossil fuels, which we've been relying on quite consistently for over 100 years. So this emerging market of renewable energy resources, energy efficiency is a vast market. It's huge.
To learn about job prospects in the renewable energy field, we visited Chris Rose, Executive Director of the Renewable Alaska Energy Project, or REAP for short.
Could you talk about the Renewable Energy Alaska Project and tell a little about the organization?
We are a statewide coalition of diverse energy stakeholders that all are working toward the same goal, which is increasing the production of renewable energy and promoting energy efficiency here in Alaska. The group consists of small and large electric utilities from around the state, businesses who are engaged in renewable energy, environmental groups, consumer groups, Alaska Native organizations, and we also have state, federal, and local entities that are part of our group as well.
Why should young people be interested in working in this field?
It's really the lifeblood of any economy is having affordable, reliable energy, and having clean energy that's not emitting carbon is going to become more and more important as we go along. So it's a field that's just only going to grow, I think, exponentially over the coming decades. There's a huge opportunity, and in Alaska in particular, we've got some of the best renewable energy resources in the world. We've got a relatively inefficient housing stock, which means there's a lot of room for improvement. We've got a cold climate, and we've got really high energy prices. So all the ingredients are here in Alaska to drive us toward more renewable energy and energy efficiency.
What types of skills and training will young people need to work in the renewable energy field?
Well, I should circle back and say that we're also promoting energy efficiency. And that's a huge field. That's a huge opportunity right now because those are jobs that typically do not require a lot of training and skill to do. So for instance, if you want to weatherize a house, there are many, many people in the state already who have construction skills, who may be out of work. So just basic construction skills, being able to caulk a house, to put more insulation in a house, to install new windows, and then maybe a step up from that, people who have the training and skills to put in new heating systems, new boilers, and more efficient heating and cooling systems, people who literally just can change light bulbs. You know, that doesn't take a lot of training and skill, and there are we probably have only begun to scratch the surface of the retrofitting of the buildings that we have here in Alaska to make them more energy efficient, because the cheapest energy that you're ever going to get is the energy you don't have to use. And so it costs a lot less to invest in energy efficient gadgets and behavioral change than it does to go out and generate power, even if it's with renewable power that doesn't have any fuel costs. The skills and the skill sets that are required really range from virtually, a high school education with some vocational training all the way up through graduate school, where you can actually be managing and promoting these projects.
What types of renewable energy projects are taking place now, and what will be the projects in the next 10 years?
Well, there are a lot of different projects that are going on. The renewable energy resources that we're talking about are wind, geothermal, solar, hydro, ocean power, which is both tidal and wave power, and biomass. Now, some places have more resources than others, so each place is a little bit site-specific. For instance, all of western Alaska and most of the coasts of Alaska have really good wind. The geothermal resources are located in a few different places, in the Aleutians, and then sweeping back here past Anchorage and then down towards southeast, and then in the Wrangell Mountains, which are volcanoes, and then in a band from about Chena Hot Springs over to Pilgrim Hot Springs near Nome. So you have to be able to locate the geothermal projects near those resources. There's only a few small solar installations besides the ones that people have on their homes in the state right now. And one of the reasons that solar has lagged behind is because in the summer, when we have all the sun, we don't typically need a lot of electricity because we don't have lights and we don't have air conditioning up here. However, a lot of people are excited about the potential of solar in Alaska because Plug-in hybrid vehicles are coming along here in the next year or two, which means that people could actually apply the solar electricity to their vehicles, to their transportation, which would be a really great way of using the vast solar resources that we've got here. Biomass, which can be a lot of different things, but typically in Alaska is either wood that people are using for heat, and not electricity yet, but hopefully electricity, and also fish oil, which is being used in place of diesel. Tidal and wave power is all over the place. We've got 90% of the tidal potential in the whole United States here in Alaska, and roughly 70% of all the wave power potential in the country as well. We don't have a lot of these projects up and running yet on the tidal and wave, because that is a newly commercializing industry. We're hoping that we'll get some kind of a tidal energy demonstration project here in the Cook Inlet area off the coast of Fire Island pretty soon. As far as wind goes, there are many, many villages now that are already using wind in place of using as much diesel as they have been. So they still have to have the diesel backup, and what they call these are wind diesel hybrid systems. So when the wind is blowing, they're using less diesel. And in some cases, that's really significant. For instance, the wind farm at Kotzebue, which is the first big wind farm in Alaska, displaces over 100,000 gallons of diesel every year. There are now about 12 or 13 villages that are using wind, and there's probably about another 90 more villages that are totally reliant on diesel that have good wind power potential. In terms of the biomass resources, all along the river systems, usually there are wood resources, either because there are forests growing there or because there are trees actually coming down the river. And as I've gotten more into this work, I've realized that it has been traditional for villagers along the Yukon and the Kuskokwim, especially in villages that don't have wood resources nearby, to go out and to harvest the literally hundreds of thousands of cords of wood that float down those rivers every year, and they can use them for firewood. And the main application for that wood so far has been district heating systems. So rather than using heating oil, which is essentially diesel, to heat their homes, some communities are now looking at larger scale heating systems that use wood in a very efficient wood boiler that heats several buildings at a time.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with young people interested in working in the field of renewable energy?
Even though we've had this huge benefit from the oil and gas industry here in Alaska over the last 50 or 60 years, at some point that's going to run out. With these resources, they're inexhaustible. And so we can actually see the potential for having these resources around for the next 300, 500, 1,000 years. And so as we build our infrastructure for it, we'll be able to just increase the efficiency of those resources.